Have you signed up for our newsletter? Leo ni Friday. Yeah, Friday ndio nakukumbusha. Nimekuwa nikikukumbusha kila siku, but I want to make sure that you sign up for this newsletter because I know it will help you, especially in your Christian growth and in your Christian walk. Not only will you be informed and inspired, but you will also be taught. What do I mean? When you subscribe to our family media newsletter, you will receive it by email. And there are quite a number of things you'll be able to access through that newsletter. Number one, the devotions we share. So that's a big plus. Number two, we'll be able to access articles written by different authors on different issues, whether it is social issues or issues to do with our spiritual walk. I've been talking about one article this week that has really blessed me on how to give thanks even when things are not working out. Maybe you're in that season currently. How do you give thanks and not complain? You need to check out that article. You also get access to podcasts, interesting conversations to challenge your thinking and to encourage you in your Christian walk. You also get behind the scenes information on what's happening at Family Media, our programming. So there's quite a bit you get through that newsletter. All you need to do to sign up is send me your email. I will sign up for you. Send me your email on not on WhatsApp, on SMS 20316. That's my SMS line. Send me your email address. Leave the rest to me. I'll get you signed up because I want you to receive this wonderful information that will inspire you, inform you, and also encourage you in your Christian faith. It is Friday, Mindshift Friday. Every Friday we bring you conversations to provoke your thinking. And last week we began a conversation that we didn't quite finish, so we want to have part 2 of that. And we are looking at workplace relationships and boundaries. We get to hang out with certified mediator, certified career goals and productivity coach, and a HR professional, Helen Mwangi Ndirangu. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Good to have you back.
Thank you.
Last week we changamsha. You give us some things to talk about, you know, and before we jump into what we want to cover today, maybe just a brief recap. One of the things we talked about is defining. When we talk about work, relationship boundaries, what are we talking about? Maybe you can repeat that.
So I remember we talked about first understanding what boundaries are, and I mentioned that those are the invisible fences that we put around us to protect ourselves as individuals, as professionals, and also with the people that we interact with. And the thing about boundaries is that they guide you on how to behave in a certain environment, whether there's a behavior, there's a dress code, there's also how you communicate to people so that you're able to pass the right message across and not create unnecessary misunderstandings, but also it allows for us to exercise our emotional intelligence so that we know this is the right time to say this or this is the right time to approach a certain matter. Yes.
What happens in situations where boundaries are, because I believe these boundaries, what I would call terms and conditions, are supposed to be made clear as you are getting into this organization and you're signing your contract and all. What happens in situations where they were not verbalized, nothing written was given to you, but now that you are part of this organization, demands are being put on you, and certain boundaries want to be put in place, but they're not in writing. How do you handle that?
So first and foremost, that is an error on the organization part, because what happens is you're coming into a new environment and you don't know what to do. It's what I remember mentioning last week as hit the ground running. So you come in and someone tells you, just look around and see what people do and then pick up, you see. But the problem with that is that you may actually end up picking something that's not acceptable. And because you are the newest member of the team, you will get judged because they can see you came in, so it's like you want to do things your way, and yet you've been told, you know, just look around and see how it is. Now what happens is when those are not defined, of course, and now you're saying that the organization wants to try and define that, there's already a problem. Ideally, most employees will say, okay, let me just sign because I need to maintain my job and all, but that's not how it's supposed to be. Usually there's supposed to be open communication. a good working environment consists of managers or leadership and employees who are willing to sit at the table and have this discussion, so that employees don't feel like there's certain things being done behind their, behind their backs. So ideally, what would happen is to say, maybe let's call a town hall, or let's call the specific people who are concerned. Then we say, so these are some of the areas that we have noticed what's happening, and we would like to change that for the better. And these are the things that, these are the ideas that we have, but can we also get your contributions? People tend to embrace rules and regulations better when they're involved in the process. So if you don't involve people in the process, it can look like an authoritarian kind of thing, where can you sign this document and can you follow these instructions? But because now again it boils down to, I need to maintain my job as maybe as I look elsewhere, let me just sign and then move on. But then later on it becomes a problem. Another thing that would happen is a reactionary process. You're dealing with a lot of, okay, so why is this employee behaving like this? They need to know how things work, but you didn't define the terms at the beginning. You just had them sign the contract, or so there's the offer letter and then there's a contract. Okay, so the offer letter is saying yes.
What's the difference between the two?
Okay, so the difference is the offer letter comes after the interview, saying you are the best candidate for the job, or we would like to, invite you to take on this position. And then what they do is a basic, a basic description. So more like a one-pager, congratulations on being the best candidate for this position. If you choose to take this position, this is what, this is the title, and this is what you'd expect. But for further discussion, please either come to the, or let's have a discussion at the office. Then now the contract is detailed. This is what is expected. These are your benefits. These are the terms and conditions. For example, when you need to exit, you need to maybe to give 1 month notice. Probation is going to be 6 months. You can, if you decide you want to leave within the probation period, you give 2 weeks notice. Things like that. So that's the difference. So the offer letter usually is very short and brief, probably just 1 page. But the contract can be anything between 2 to 5 pages, depending on the organization. And also where you find some organizations decide to put all the rules and regulations on the contract letter. But then there are others where they put it in everything in a handbook. And so you're required to read. And at the end of that, there's a document, there's a small, write-up that's written. I have read through the rules and regulations, the code of conduct, and I understand. Then I sign, date, and then that's what now goes into my file. Okay.
I know we want to talk about some hotspots, but before we get to that, I'm just curious. How do you handle it when it is the organization that's breaching the boundaries they set? I mean, when it's an individual breaking the boundaries, we know how the organization will deal with that. But what if it's the reverse? As an individual, there are boundaries we agreed on, but now the organization is breaking the very boundaries they had set. How do I move forward? How do I deal with that?
Okay, so there are 2 things that you need to consider here. The organizations that have what we call unions. Okay? So if you're dealing with a union and you have breached, it's the union officials that will now come and approach the situation. If the union representatives try and have a sit down with you and you're not listening, they now escalate to the labor office. So a labor officer will be appointed to come and try and mediate the situation. Now, in an organization that does not have the union, it means we probably have direct contact with either immediate manager or the top leadership, depending on how the work culture or the workplace relationships are. So in that case, if you have a manager who is very supportive, because you can find that you're working in an organization which is, for lack of a better word, toxic, or very not very inviting, but you have a manager who is very supportive. And because of that manager, you're able to speak about the issues that are happening. So that manager can probably help with that, and you can speak to them and say, we have observed these are the issues that are happening, or we have these concerns. How is it that you can best escalate on our behalf without us getting victimized, but also realizing that this is an issue? Now, when that doesn't happen, sometimes there are employees who are brave enough to either do, what is it called, the petition? Maandamano kwa ofisi, that one might be a different. No, considering we know everybody who works in the organization,
Yes.
you probably get victimized and you don't want to, you know.
Yes.
Yes, but that's ideally that would be the best way out. However, again, you can look at the situation. If you have the power to exit and go, I always say exit should be your last alternative.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is, if you keep running away from the problems,
Yeah.
they sort of just get bigger. They don't actually get solved. And even when you move to another organization, no
Yeah.
matter how good the environment is, there will probably be a new problem that you have to deal with.
Very
So that's the way I would look at it.
Okay.
But of course, there are many other avenues. Again, you know, you could also have now the employee assistance programs where they have a complaint line or a concern line where someone can now call in and say, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And from there, maybe top leadership, maybe from a different branch, can come in and intervene.
Okay.
Yes.
So, hotspots.
Yes.
What are some key hotspots that we need to look at, and what do we need to know about them when we are talking about workplace relationship boundaries?
So, I mean, there are very many things that can strain work relationships. But the reason we call the three that I will mention hotspots, they're the most common, and they're the ones that usually would create so many and so much tension, unnecessary challenges, and probably end up even losing very good employees.
Yeah.
So one of them is the giving and receiving feedback. This happens often when we are doing the performance appraisals or looking at how an employee has performed. Now you have to remember that performance management of a performance appraisal can lead to many things. Number one, a promotion, a bonus. Maybe depending on the organization, you might end up getting shares for the organization because you performed well. And, also maybe stretch assignments, secondment to other countries. It's different things for different organizations.
Yes.
So for that reason, it's a very important conversation. But where the challenge comes in is how you give and receive that feedback. So the manager who is giving the feedback needs to be very careful in how they approach the situation, especially when you're dealing with an employee who has not performed well. Because, yes, that's a difficult conversation.
Okay.
Imagine an employee who's been performing well, but now they're not performing well. Something happened, changed and all, and maybe the manager was overwhelmed or was not alert enough to capture the issue at the point it happened or it started to happen, to identify, is this a work-related problem? Is it a personal problem? How can we support you as an organization? So you would find that there are managers who don't actually remember that the employee did something right in the course of that year. And all they do is remember everything wrong they did. On this day, you came late. On this day, you did not deliver on this project. On this day, you made a lot of mistakes on this. So you sort of feel like it's a personal vendetta, like you're being pointed and pointed and, picked on. And what a good manager should do is exercise a lot of emotional intelligence. Because by the time you are sitting at the performance discussion table, you're very jittery. There's, the defense mechanisms are high, And so what that manager should be able to do is to say, we are here to have the discussion, and this is not, what I would like you to do is to be able to take this with a very open mind. And we need to find out, we will talk about the good, and we'll also talk about the areas of improvement or the things that could have, been worked on better. So that way, an employee feels, okay, this approach was, this is a good approach, and I'm able to say, I think I lapsed a bit, and I'm willing to make improvements. And so the other part is on the receiving the feedback. Their employees, no matter the approach that you use, they will say, there's this day I did my best, but you still pointed at me. You still, so it's a two-way thing. And so the manager is simply trying to be very impartial and objective in having this discussion. But the employee still feels like, I don't like how this was done, and this is unfair, and I was given the wrong rating. I need somebody else to rate me. And yet, this is a manager you've been working directly under. How then do they, and sometimes you might have to involve a third party. So that conversation can be a make or break for the employee going forward. Okay, so they might find that they might easily just shut down, what they used to do really well, they only now do enough. They
Yeah.
don't go the extra mile.
Bare minimum.
Bare minimum.
Yeah.
I've done the bare minimum. This is what my job description says. So, okay, moving on. Yeah.
I've seen that quite a bit, and I'm wondering, how do you solve that? Where, from the perspective of the employee,
Yes.
it's like you always notice. It's like your job is to catch me when I do something wrong.
Yes.
The many times I've done something right, you never catch me. You never say anything.
Yes.
You know, so every time I meet with you, you're pointing out a mistake.
Yes.
I've never met with you for you to tell me you did this well.
Yes.
This was really good.
Yes.
Or I can see you've made an improvement in this area.
Yes.
Those ones you never say. And so I'm just wondering, because that then, the results are what you've described.
Yes.
Somebody gets to the place where they feel, you know what, bare minimum.
Yes.
Ndio wanangojaga saa imefika unachomoka.
Yes.
Overtime ni
Yes.
wewe, mimi nimeenda. How, now from the perspective of the employer,
Yes.
how do you deal with such a situation?
So, first you have to remember that just because someone is holding a managerial position, it doesn't mean that they know how to manage people. They can be
Oh.
very good at what they do,
Yeah.
the work
The work
itself, the
itself.
delivering of the results. But when it comes to managing the people, there's a challenge. So this is where coaching in the workplace is very important to have. Okay, so you, so as an organization, you can make a decision to do what we call internal coaching, because either you've already assigned certain managers, they have either the company has invested in the managers, certain managers being taken for coaching. So they are given, they are tasked with the responsibility of coaching other managers,
Yeah.
so that they know how to handle employees, they know how to have difficult conversations
Yes.
in a very objective way.
Yes.
And as well also how to identify either difficult employees, good performing employees, and how to handle them. So that helps. Now the other thing is like a kind of continuous reassurance for employees. It's very important to acknowledge when work is done well. We normally say, praise in public, correct in private. Okay.
Oh, yes.
So that helps. So imagine I walk into a room and I find you there and I say, you did a very good job. But if I say you did a very good job, that's very ambiguous, okay? But if I say, I'm very grateful that you did the stretch assignment we sent you maybe to a certain location, you did very well. We like how you handled the challenges, and you did the leadership. You brought out your leadership traits in a very
Yes.
good way. Now, do you know the next time there's a stretch assignment, even if you have so much on your plate, you probably want to go
Yeah.
because somebody noticed.
Yes.
You see,
Yes.
human beings, we like to be validated.
Oh, say that again in capital letters.
Yes, you see, we like to be validated, we like to be affirmed, we like
Yes.
to be appreciated. So it makes the difference. So if managers can get into the habit of appreciating when a job is well done, it becomes easier to manage a negative situation.
Yes.
So you're able to tell the employee, you know, as much as this that has been done, I have concerns on this.
Yes.
Let's have a sit down and let's talk what happened here. Is there, are you clear on what needs to get done? Are there any challenges you experienced? Did you try to reach out for help? How best can we improve?
Wow.
The other thing that a lot of organizations and managers don't do, and I've found that it works very well, when you assign employees work to do and they make a mistake, let them understand that it's okay to come to you when the mistake has been made before it escalates to other departments, or to the top leadership, so that as a manager, I know how to handle the situation.
Yes.
Should my immediate supervisor or boss come and ask me what happened here, I'll have already thought out a process.
Yes.
So that when they make mistakes, they're not feeling like, okay,
Whoa.
let me just keep quiet and then wait until the situation is out of hand.
Yeah.
So that makes a whole lot of difference.
Okay.
Yes.
We are hanging out with Helen Mwangi Ndirangu. She's a HR professional. Any thoughts, any questions on 20316 for SMS and WhatsApp 0786 316 316. So that was hotspot number one. You said you had three.
Yes.
Sitaki tuishiwe na wakati. What's
All
the
right.
second one?
So the second one is dealing with emotions.
Talk to me.
Now, the thing is, a lot of employees don't understand emotional intelligence. We keep talking about it, but we don't actually know what it is. But in order for you to develop emotional intelligence, it starts with what called self-awareness. You need to know where you thrive, where you don't thrive, you need to know what triggers you. There are people who get angry simply because you said something, and for you it was a very innocent statement.
Yeah.
But what it did is that it triggered probably something that had been unresolved. Okay?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now you don't know that.
Yeah.
But this employee has now decided this person is against me, they were rude, they were unkind, they were because they did not understand what their triggers are. When you understand your triggers, you're better able to handle certain things that are said or done to you.
Yeah.
And that's really part of emotional intelligence. The simplest way of defining emotional intelligence is knowing what to say, when to say it, and at the at the right time, or even as well when not to speak anything.
Oh.
Because I mean, timing is everything. Imagine when you were growing up and you wanted something from mom and dad, you would figure out the timing.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know, dad looks happy, I can ask for that pair of shoes. But and it's almost the same thing even in the organization, because also you're looking at the seasons.
Yeah.
So what generally happens now when it comes to managing emotions is you find that you tell an employee something, or because there is so much that has been accumulated, they didn't have a platform to vent or to speak out the things that are happening, either because maybe they don't have a very good relationship with their colleagues. One day, one thing just happens because everything has been piling up, and they blow up.
And they blow out, yes.
The office comes to a standstill. Nothing can get done. And sometimes security has to be called to escort the employee out, simply because they either did not know how to manage they actually did not know how to manage their emotions. It's important to know that when certain things are said and you end up having a meltdown or that emotional breakdown, you need to know what to do. Is this a point where I walk out of the office, go for a walk, get some air, then come back? Sometimes you may not have that opportunity.
Yes.
Hold it in. And then after that, after that you can call for a meeting with the person that you had an issue with, or who said something, and you say, I would like to understand. But I usually say sometimes before you even go and speak to that person, try and fit into their shoes for a moment.
Yeah.
Where were they coming from? Before you make conclusions that they were being unkind in what they said or did. I've
had situations where employees know if their boss had a good day at home or a bad day.
Yes.
We will bear the brunt of what happened in their home.
In the office.
And so if you are a manager, if you're somebody in authority at your place of work, how do you keep mambo ya kwako, the mambo ya, how do you maintain that?
Simplest way to put it, there's such a thing as compartmentalization. Okay, imagine these how do I put it? Like when you buy cups in a carton, they're in different, so imagine compartmentalizing, putting everything in its box. Now you cannot 100% separate, but you have got to know up to what point is this personal, up to what point is this work related.
Yes.
Because again now, if you are in the category where you're oversharing your work, your your home experience, and especially as a leader, people quickly begin to lose respect for you.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Because they're like, why is this person sharing so much about their home?
Yeah.
Sometimes the only reason you'd ideally want to share something about home is because maybe employees think that you're on a certain level and they're here, and you need to bring it back to them to tell them, I am as human as you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe an authentic story at that point, but not necessarily sharing everything. So it's very important to know, and again, it goes down to boundaries. I mean, boundaries is everything.
Yes.
Okay. How I like to encourage people to create their own boundaries. If I am at work, what is a deal maker? What is a deal breaker? Okay. And how much am I going to share? What kind of friendships do I want to have in the workplace? I want to have a colleague or two who I can rely on. If I'm feeling unwell, I am able to call them and tell them, today is not a good day, this and this is happening. Or if my child is sick, I'm able to say that.
Yeah.
Especially when maybe a manager is not approachable. But of course, it's always advisable. If, for example, you're not coming to work, I let your manager know, because that can, of course, translate into something else. So being able to understand, this is what I do when I'm at work, this is what I do when I'm at home. And then don't bring, you know, there are sometimes we are these employees who, I want to bring this photograph, I want to bring this, you want to overly personalize your desk.
Yeah.
So we quickly get to know, oh, you have 3 children, you have this, you have this. Those are, I mean, it's good to have that picture, but then again, don't overdo it. There are people who will bring many things to the table, and now we are confused. Is this an office or an extended?
It's a personal shrine.
Yes, that's the correct word, shrine, you know. So that's important. And practice what you preach. If you're a manager, practice what you preach. Don't tell people to do A and then you're doing
and then
B.
you're doing B.
And because, again, remember, everyone is watching you.
Still on that same point, because we live in a world today, social media is the order of the day.
Yes,
and sometimes it's hard to separate between me, the manager, and me, the me.
Yes.
And so I find that sometimes, because you put so much, we have this hunger to let everybody know where we are, what we are doing. It's crazy.
Yes.
But then now, the people you work with begin to lose respect for you.
Yes.
Because your life outside the office is on display.
Yes.
And there are some things where ethics is concerned, morality is concerned.
True.
Surely.
Yes.
So what would you say to that?
I'll say this. I have a rule. I do not, if, for example, I'm on social media, I will never have my colleagues on my social media page. It's a rule for me.
Oh.
It's a rule. That way I separate. Okay? I use a totally different name on my social media.
Yes.
So it's probably going to take a bit of time before you figure me out on that. But then, there's also something else a lot of us forget. The internet never forgets.
I'm telling you.
So the moment you post something, you need to remember. You need to remember that even if you delete that post, there is probably somewhere it is stored.
To put on a screenshot.
Yes. And we have some IT guys who are really good at unearthing things. You know, you think this was forgotten, and then you do one wrong thing and someone brings all your laundry there, you know. And so it's very important to remember that. If you're going to have to share, if you want other people to see what's happening on your page, think twice what it is that you want to share. And sometimes we also create what I call a facade of this is really what's happening in my life, and yet it's the exact opposite. There's a lot of that going on. And maybe it's also about what is it you are trying to, what is this word, overcompensate. Okay?
True.
Because many times when people do that, it's overcompensating. But then when you remember that you are a leader, so much more is expected of you. Unfortunately, as a leader, even when you're not in the office, whether it is a weekend or not, you still have to wear that hat in one way or the other. You walk into the supermarket and you meet your direct report. How are you behaving towards the supermarket attendants? Are you treating them in an unkind way because maybe you feel that you're on the giving end?
Yes.
All those things will be picked up, and on Monday morning, that will be the first juicy gossip.
Wow.
Yes.
What do you think of organizations that demand that their employees use their social media accounts for the purposes of promoting the business, benefiting the business, and the employees thinking, no, this is my personal space?
Okay. I have actually experienced that.
Oh, talk to me.
Yes. And because it was, I would call it was actually a media kind of organization reaching out to the youth. So being on Facebook in the middle of the day was not a crime, so to speak. Because according to them, you are finding a way to promote. But what I would say is, it needs to be very clear from the beginning, okay? This is the nature of work we do, and this is the reason why we are asking you to promote. But also, I think there should be an option of separating the two. Can I then open another account where I literally just do this promotion so that we don't mix with my personal account? I think that that would be one way. But also, the parameters really need to be well defined, because as much as maybe for me I had access, I was not necessarily required to use my Facebook account to do that promotion. it's a nice thing to do,
Yeah.
but it's not a compulsory thing to do, because maybe I was not in the department that does the promotion.
Yeah.
But it's very important to be clear, so that again people are not getting all uncomfortable and feeling like they're being pushed to the wall.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's go to the third one, and if we have time,
Yes.
we can answer this one question.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the other one is conflict.
Uh-huh.
Many times over, we don't want to deal with conflict. We just want to throw it under the carpet. The problems will solve themselves.
Yes.
But the problem with that is that things will keep getting accumulated. So today you say something to me, I get a bit annoyed, I let it go. I say, you know what, you're my boss, so I'm going to let it go. Then tomorrow you say something else, you remind me what you did the last time.
Yeah.
And so it becomes an accumulation, and then again boils down to a meltdown, or the one where someone says, I am done. They march out. They pick their handbag, their rucksack, whatever it is, and they're gone. So when it comes to having good work relationships, it's about being able to have difficult conversations. It's about being able to mediate a situation. Now, mediation is not where one party wins and then the other one loses.
Yes.
Mediation is about empowering both parties to bring the issues to the table. This is how I feel. When you said this is how I felt.
Yeah.
Okay? Mediation is about the manager who is helping to mediate, throwing this back to them and telling them, setting certain rules and telling them, please, we are not having fist fights here.
Yeah.
We are not going to be rude about it.
Yes.
We are going to express our issues in a respectable and courteous way. And then from there, everyone is able to discuss. Then the manager is able to say, how would you like to go ahead with this situation? So what you've done, you've empowered both of them to resolve the problem.
Yes.
And now they have developed a new respect for each other.
Yes.
And probably a stronger bond to be able to work. But many times over, we find because we are not conflict competent,
Yeah.
we let the problems go on their own, or this manager comes and takes sides. So when I feel that my side was not heard,
Yeah.
it slowly starts to affect the way I work, the way I look at people, the way I look at the colleague I was fighting with. So those three hotspots are very important to deal and face. You know, you face them as they are,
Yeah.
and deal with them. And if you don't know how to do it, there is room to be able to do it. You can ask for support from the organization. And out there's a lot of information on the internet that can help you become competent in those areas.
Wow.
Yes.
I recently resigned from a job where the manager is very toxic. Use of vulgar language, correcting you by humiliating you in front of juniors. The HR is unprofessional, well as you cannot confide in them. My position had been filled 4 times in the same year, and it's a multinational. Question is, was I right in resigning? Mind you, people who have worked with this manager for many years say they have never changed. The toxicity really messed up my mental health, hence my resignation.
Okay.
Yeah.
First and foremost, you have to look after yourself.
Oh, yeah.
I once had a manager who told me, Helen, no matter what, you must learn to take care of your heart. Okay?
Ooh.
Nobody else will do that for you. You will work, at the end of the day go home, and then you'll come back tomorrow and there'll still be work waiting for you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And the resigning of this person, I actually support it. From this point, they sat and realized this is something that has been going on for years.
Yeah.
It's obviously not going to change. So what's the best thing I can do for me, for my mental health, for my peace of mind? Because by the time they got to the point of resigning, I'm sure a lot of things had happened. They had probably tried all avenues.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a HR person who is not conflict competent, or who is not, I think the word is impartial, just because an employee has come to report a manager, the HR should not be siding with the manager. It's important to listen to both sides, which is why I mentioned earlier, have a mediation.
Yeah.
Now, only involve the people who are, concerned, because the other problem is now, when you spread the information to everybody, as an employee, I lose confidence that you can actually deal with my problem without publicizing it. Yeah. And so now what has happened is that manager who is toxic has been given room, has been enabled, okay?
Yes.
He or she has been enabled to do that, and no one has either been able to approach or been allowed to approach him and tell him there's a problem here. Such managers, we can also look at them as bullies. Yes, because when they say get it done, even when it goes against the company values or against what you as a person stand for. Now, what I would advise, I'd advise the listener is this: she needs to first go through a healing process before she even decides to go look for another job.
Okay.
Looking for a job is important because, of course, bills need to be paid.
Yes.
But if you don't heal, those same problems are going to actually affect you in the next job, no matter how good a job it is.
Yeah.
Because what the healing process will be about, it will be about seeing these are the things that are acceptable and non-negotiable for me.
Yes.
These are my deal breakers.
Yes.
For example, a deal breaker. I wouldn't want to work in an organization where the boss feels they need to keep shouting at me to pass a point across. Or embarrassing me in front of the juniors, because the juniors then will never have respect for anything I say. So organizations need to be more empowered to understand that just because that manager is bringing results, if you're damaging 10 employees, then those results are not worth going for. Because one manager versus 10 employees, probably what the 10 employees can do, that one manager cannot do. So we need to be very careful. What are we encouraging in the workplace? We are also losing very good talent to our competitors simply because we are not dealing with these issues. Also, what's happening, those issues, when they're not dealt with, they mess up with the brand of the business. We have what we call keyboard warriors. I was aggrieved, let me go and type it on the internet, you know. And then shortly, everybody starts to talk about, say, even I, this is what happened, even I, this is what happened. Now, the company will probably have to look for a PR person to manage that situation and spend a lot of money. We don't have to get to that point where we are now being reactionary. We need to deal with these problems as they come. If we don't have someone who can do it, can we get somebody from outside to come and train us to be conflict competent and how to exercise good leadership? And sometimes I like to call it also servant leadership.
Wow.
Yes.
Helen. By the way, my elder sister is called Helen.
Amazing.
Yes. Imagine our time is up.
Yes.
But I'm so grateful you came.
Yes, thank you.
You have a wealth of knowledge. If no one has told you that, let me tell you that.
Thank you very much.
You know your
I
stuff.
appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Aya, I hope you've found something. And thank you for the questions that came in today. I hope we've answered them well. Our time is up for Mindshift Friday.
Thank you for watching. Remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can get notified whenever we upload new fresh content every day. Stay tuned and enjoy fresh, uplifting content.